Hello everyone, we are back again and this time we are meeting Riya Rachel Simon. She is my very good friend and my batchmate from Bhumi, and today we are going to talk with her about her Jai Jagat Yatra. I am Madhavi, founder of jeevisha and course-coordinator for Orikalankini's Ecofeminism Fellowship, and in this series of Leaning into Network, we are meeting people who are working in sustainability and environment sector. Hello Riya, welcome.
Thank you, Madhavi, for
Uh, so,
inviting
uh,
me.
yeah, so we'll start with this question which I ask everyone. What is nature for you and how would you describe Mother Earth?
Nature is, I would just describe it, and it is what, for me as well, is the creator. So, nature is the creator, Mother Earth is the creator. So, yeah, just one word for me, creation or creator.
And how and when did you realize this connection with nature? What was when was the first time you felt that I am nature or I am in connect with nature? What was the experience? How did it happen?
Uh, Connect with nature is something that is a constant process. So, over many years, through different experiences, I've felt connected with nature. Uh, One of the first, I can't really remember, but what I can say is that back in childhood, in school itself, I used to be about environment and talking about all the trees and soil and all of that. So, and since then, through different experiences, be it through the Bhumi College experience uh, or while I was working in the construction industry, so it was an aspect of sustainability that time, or through the recent experience of the Jai Jagat Yatra, while walking through picturesque spaces, or while traveling across, when you come across different creations, different colors to the earth. So it, all of those has been my connect with nature in itself. Yes.
So let's talk about the main topic. Everyone is excited to know about your Jai Jagat journey, and that is why we are here. So let's talk about Jai Jagat. What is Jai Jagat?
Okay. Yes, a lot of people are excited, including Madhavi. She's one of the first who's excited about it. Yes. Um, yeah. So last year had got this opportunity to be part of a campaign, of a global campaign called as the Jai Jagat 2020. You can Google it. You can read more about it as well. So I had participated in this campaign as a foot marcher to walk with a group of another 49 set of people from Delhi, India to Geneva, Switzerland. So it was a walk scheduled for a year for about almost 10,000 kilometers odd. And the entire campaign was focused on four pillars. Uh, was focused on four pillars: eradication of poverty, elimination of uh, ex- social exclusion and discrimination, dealing with conflict and war, and climate crisis. Uh, the intention was to take stories from the ground through activists and workers or youths who are working on the ground or who are interested to work on the ground, take stories from people on the ground to the United Nations or the government agencies or the government bodies of different countries that we were passing by, uh, to bring in a greater systemic change. Now, the entire movement was focused on peace and justice, which is inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's work, specifically the Dandi March of Mahatma Gandhi. So the idea came up from there, and over time, the movements evolved to bring in non-violence as a core ethic in all the work that we do, especially in peace building and conflict resolution work.
Uh, So I know it will be very difficult to like tell only three, but what were three highlights when you were part of this journey?
Three highlights. Um, yes, it is a little difficult. Just to bring it as highlight, itself is a little difficult because it was a complete living journey, right? It was not set at a certain routine. So one of the main highlights for me has been people, the people who I walked along with, the people who I've come to know through the movement, the people whom I have met and heard from, the leaders of the march. It was like a human library for me, completely a human library. So these people gave stories to me. They told their experiences of having worked on the ground. So it was like a big lesson. Big highlight for me was the people who were there, and especially because these were not people whom I come across every day in my life. Like there were people from tribal areas, there were people from villages, there were people working on the ground, activists who were working for the rights of people. There were people uh, working at the government levels. There were people working at different levels, right? With different experiences and different backgrounds, and people from across the world, not just India. So people was one of the biggest highlights for me. Yes. Um, Second, I think one of the another highlight for me was the aspect of uh, uh, peace building, or the Gandhian perspective of peace building, wherein nonviolence becomes a very key element, ahimsa rather, right? Uh, some of the learnings that I learned in some of one of the most important thing that has stayed with me even now is when Rajaji, PV Rajagopal, who's a leader, uh, he ended up mentioning once or many times that it's important to work on the periphery instead of working on directly on the cause right away, get on to working on the directly. No, it's important to work on the periphery to set that process. First, that environment needs to be set. So it's important we start working on the periphery rather than working directly on the work. So that was something that struck. uh, Another important thing for me was a takeaway, or highlight for me was uh, the power of intention. And I think this is the most important, the power of intention or conviction with which we do something, right? We were walking for a reason. It was not because uh, we didn't have another choice. We had many choices to do, especially as a youth. All of us had a lot of things that we could have done. Instead of dedicating 1 year of our time, instead of dedicating our 1 year for this, could have done a lot of things. But it was the intention and conviction that made us walk and continue through all those challenges, through all the learnings, through everything, continue for it. So power of intention and conviction is very important. It helps us in building connections with people as well. It also brings in a deeper sense of gratitude for all the people who have helped us and supported us throughout our life to where we are today. And conviction also makes us look at problems as challenges and never as problems or issues as such. They're all challenges by the end of the day. And I think uh, by the end of the day, it leaves a very deep sense of accountability and responsibility within us, which is a choice, which is a choice that we are choosing for our own self, and which gives meaning to us. And I think that's big for me. Yes. So yeah, three of them for you.
Yeah. Thank you, Riya. Now, whatever, like the journey, the experience, have you changed after, like, have you noticed any visible change in yourself? What has this journey given you, or how Riya has changed after Padayatra? Can you tell us? And like,
Um, I think I have changed. I think so. I don't know. I I think my friends like Madhavi are the best people to tell whether I've changed or not. But yes, I think I've changed. Um, Change with so one is in continuation to what I said before. It's that the whole cause of why I walked those 3,000 or 4,000 kilometers was so big that, you know, that sense of accountability and responsibility is just big. So one is we take in so much of that load on ourselves that, we get too attached to that responsibility and stress over it, or the other is to just act on it. And I think, uh, for me, there's a dire need to act on the responsibility right now, at the same time to respect it. And um, so I think that has given me more meaning in what I do. So now I just don't want to tell anything and do not and do everything and anything and everything, right? So that's a big thing. The other thing I think what has changed me is uh, gratitude. For I feel quite grateful and blessed to have people like Madhavi, and Madhavi is one of them, of course, like the Bhumi community, my family, my parents, my church community, my friends from college, from school, from work, um, people outside the yatra itself. I think there was never a time when I did not remember any of them, even though I had hardly spoken to anybody during the entire yatra. But always that uh, gratitude was like something that was so heavy within me that it kept me grounded. And I think uh, I am nothing without all of them. Like, so this is very different for me. I think the self-centered person that I was, who only thought of one's own self, today I think the other plays a big role as well for me, not just with respect to serving the other, but uh, also with respect to, even receiving that love from everybody else, receiving it with gratitude and graciously receiving it. So indeed, that's another big aspect for me. uh, yes, if I don't really think of something more, I shall surely tell. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, as you said, I think, yeah, I also totally agree. Power of community and power of being like we all are in this together. That makes a lot of difference. Yeah. So now let's talk about challenges. What are few challenges you face during the yatra, and now also if you are facing any challenges which you would like to share?
uh, so there were, of course, the physical challenges with respect to walking through the distances, because you end up forming blisters on the feet, or or the fact that you're sleeping at a new place every day. It gets a little too shaking at times, every day new place to sleep, and unpacking in the night and packing up in the morning. So uh, the sanitation, all of those different aspects, right? Those are basic survival kind of challenges that we faced, which I took it in the spirit of, okay, there's it, like life goes on, normal kind of thing. So it didn't really affect me directly initially, but I think by the end of the yatra, when I was in Armenia, when we were just few days before leaving, coming back to India, thanks to COVID, it did start hitting me that, okay, I want a good washroom to take bath in. I want to take bath. It was like that. So those physical challenges were definitely there. But apart from that, I think the most uh, deeper challenges that I have undergone were with respect to one was adapting to cultural differences. Uh, People came from wide array of cultures, and there were people from Western cultures. There were people like from people who were there from France, Spain, or New Zealand, or Kenya, England, and so on and so forth. It was a different culture. Fine, they're internationals, we approach them that way. But within India itself, I could feel so much cultural variety and diversity, uh, be it someone coming from a village background, from a tribal background, or from a city background, or somebody who is elder, somebody uh, who is a youth like me, somebody who's a uh, youth from the south of India or from the north of India. Everything was so diverse for me. I think even today, that's like a big difference. So uh, adapting to different cultural characters or different people from different cultures, is it takes a lot of effort from our side to be off, always be conscious that, not to hurt the other person. Some ways that are normal for me as an urban youth sitting in Bangalore, it would be very normal, but that may be hurtful for another person. So the cultural difference was always very strong for me, and it has been a challenge. Though I do hope that I have been able to, not be much of an not create much of an issue out of it in the yatra. But you never know. I have been my load of stress of our people. Yes. Another, which second thing I think has been, uh, there was also the diversity between the exposure that we have received. There's also the diversity of the privileges that we have all received. Different people have received different kinds of privileges. So for me myself, one, there was an acceptance of this privilege that I have come up with, but I used to always enter that hierarchical understanding of privilege, right? Like I used to look at someone, oh, the person does not have much privilege like what I have got and all that. So I am already dividing the society. I am looking at them as something lower or something myself as something higher. So the acceptance to my own privilege was was quite difficult for me. Uh, I didn't know I really didn't know where to draw the line. Yes, I am born with privileges, but sometimes, but I don't. Some of these things I don't give an importance to. It's normal. It's been normal for me. But when you're living with people who are coming from different backgrounds, uh, it becomes very important to graciously uh, embrace it. And for me, that has been like a big task, because sometimes I feel guilty that I have so much privilege. Sometimes I feel, oh, I have privilege, that's why I'm looking at the other like that. So there was always this dilemma or this battle that was going on within me to what do I am living with them. So 24/7 I have to be in some way that I don't hurt the other person, especially when it comes to privilege, deliberately or knowingly or unknowingly, right? So it brought in a lot of headache and uh, or challenge rather. uh, but I think beyond that, the privilege kind of also uh, put me in a situation where I was dealing with that sense of accountability and responsibility. I think as someone, and here I am accepting the privilege that I've got today. So as someone who's been able to do all of this, it has been because of a supportive structure of family structure that I have, or a supportive friend, a community support that I've had, right? Uh, it also becomes very important that I am accountable to this. I do something for the society in return. That sense of responsibility and accountability because of this privilege has been bothering me as well. So it still bothers me. So that has been a constant struggle or constant challenge rather, right? Another very important thing I think has been, as a very social person that I am, like I talk to everyone, I make friends with a lot of people. Uh, One of the biggest things, challenge that I found was to find my own time, find me space, spend some time to do on my own, just to be with myself. I think I was just getting into that stage of finding, accepting the importance of me time and space when the yatra kind of ended. So it took me like 6-7 months to realize that a me time is important. Some time to be with my own self is very important to keep myself grounded, because it requires it's very disturbing as a social person myself, when so many people are there around, like always looking out to socialize. But it becomes very important to stay grounded as well in the process, right? And for that, one needs to spend some time with one's own self, and however, whichever medium. Even while walking, people have done that. I've done that sometimes while walking. But consistent process of being with one's own self, reflecting over what is happening, just collecting myself, becomes very important for a yatra like this, where it's a 24/7 work. In mainstream language, I can put 24/7 work. I'm always on the work of doing peace building activity, the peace activism, right? uh, so yes, me time becomes very important. So three things for you, Madhavi.
Thank you, Riya. So, how do you take care of yourself? Like as you said, me time is important. What else do you do to, take care of Riya when she is not okay? Because you are trying to take care of everyone. So, in that process, what happens to taking care of yourself, and what are your coping mechanism when things don't go as you want them to go? Things are not in your hand. What do you do then?
um, how did I take care of myself? So part of my me time itself, something that I did, I tried to do regularly, but wasn't that regular. But yes, it was write morning pages. It's the first thing in the morning. I just write down 3 pages of whatever's coming in my mind. Just write it down. So, and some of the days when it was very difficult, I used to just write it down. So writing really helped. Journaling stuff really helped me. That was one. Other than that, once in blue moon, I used to call people, especially when I was in India. I used to call people. It used to be very helpful to just call 2, 3 people just randomly. So that helped. But I think beyond that, the me time that I kind of received, I think, or what helped me is walking. It walking in itself kept me floating through the many situations, and this was very clearly, I could observe it when in Armenia the last 1 week, about 5 days, we were actually put in one place itself. We couldn't walk around because of the corona situation, aggravating corona situation. So over there, it's like every day we're changing at a fast pace. There's a lot of changes happening within us, and when there's no physical movement, it's like, where do we take all of this out? But in normal the days before that, it was not much of an issue for us because we were physically walking, and while walking, we take in things, we feel grounded to the space that we are in, and we reflect over, or we just pass through it. It just magically helps us in healing. So I think that physical activity or walking, which is also a slow activity, kind of helped me in that. So not just me, I'm pretty sure it helped a lot of people on walking. Another very important thing was I'm so grateful for a few people in the yatra. So I used anything major, I used to just go and talk to them. And it's like I non-stop talk to them. So that helped me a lot as well. So there was few people who helped. So these were few things that I did.
Yeah. Thank you, Riya. Would you like to show us some pictures of your yatra so that we can actually feel what was it like?
Yes, I can do that. 1 second. Yeah, can you see?
Yeah.
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 So this is one picture which was in Armenia. We were walking, and you can clearly see here the environment. It is white mountains across and pretty quiet in itself, hardly any wind. There were a few days when there was harsh wind. And I think during those days, I was in love with Earth. I was like, and I received so much love from the Earth. I could feel I was so much in love with Earth. And people were like, okay, is she gone a little mad? But I really loved that Mother Earth you could clearly see, and it was like it was communicating to me. It was very special. And at the same time, I think over time I kind of started missing the green trees and the forests that we have in India, because there was no greenery to be seen here, and I was missing that color of green, that lush forest, what lush forest gives, right? So this is one picture for that. Another I can show is this. Yes, so this was in India, in MP itself, somewhere on in the middle of some forest. So almost every day we had this custom of sitting to, after a few kilometers to rest. We used to just sit together at some place for about 30 to 40 minutes and discuss about different aspects around nonviolence, about Gandhi's practice, about the issues that are happening, about what we are experiencing in the yatra, about what are the observations that we have seen, or simply just listening to people and their stories. So and though we call them the tree shade meetings, and this is one surrounded by trees, so it's a really nice picture. And yes, these were one of those movements when we get to hear about other people's work, especially of the teammates of Ekta Parishad, who have done tremendous amount of work over the last 20-30 years. So it was amazing. These tree shade meetings were really good. So that's there. And this is another picture where in one of the villages, we were just walking by and we came across one of the villages with the Parati tribes, I think. Basically, they're nomadic villages, nomadic tribes who didn't necessarily have a space of their own self. Yes, who didn't necessarily have a land for themselves, but after the land rights came into picture, after the Britishers left and our constitution came into picture, they have been struggling to find land because they need a land, some source of income to survive, and so land rights and all of that. So we had a meeting right then and there with the women and the village people nearby, and it was a good way, good experience of engaging with them. So I think we have had many such experiences where we have engaged with the localites directly, especially some of the localites where like we just meet on the way and we engage with them. There is awareness creation done, there is advocacy done, there is also action taken. Like in this case, immediately after this meeting, we went to our destination, and from our destination, the three people went back to their village to take the process of getting land rights for these guys. So it was like, there was immediate action also happening, so that it was a holistic process. So this was one of those examples. Apart from that, the photo that I'm trying to show is from Armenia. It's from their genocide memorial place. And Armenia is a country which has dealt with a history of genocides. And I think it was quite an emotional yet powerful place, emotional and powerful, a place where the motto of this entire space and even Armenia has been that we want to continue. Uh, motto has been that we will not forget what happened, but we will continue our work towards a situation where something like this never happens again, not just in Armenia, but across the world. Genocide is just not accepted, and we do not support it happening anywhere in the world. So that was very powerful because, and it's very non-violent as well, because we're not saying, okay, because we were targeted, because we face this violence, somebody else should also face this violence. No, they were like, it's very clear. The entire society was also very clear that we want peace. We know what it feels when you face conflict, right? When you face people, at least one in our family has died because of this. So we know the struggle, and we don't want this to happen with anybody in this world. And I think that's a very big thing. So this has been a very special place as well. I think this would be another day of walking around, and We used to carry our Mahatma Gandhis and uh, Kasturba Gandhi and few other peoples and Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela, their photos as symbol of nonviolence. And I think in this particular day, I was carrying my luggage as well. Otherwise, usually we have a vehicle in which we keep our luggage. There are few days where I've carried my luggage. So I think something that I've realized is struggle is very important. It's very important to struggle and suffer a little bit uh, to for our growth. And this particular day, it was out of that. I wanted to just struggle a little bit, and yes, this act was that. And it's physically it's difficult, frankly speaking, uh, but there's beauty in it because you grow out of it. So I think that's what it shows. So yeah, I think that should be good enough. I think, yeah.
Thank you, Riya. Thanks a lot. This was like, wow, I don't have much words. I have goosebumps as I was seeing your pictures and hearing now. It is just really nice. Thank you.